사막의 폭풍작전 첫날, 연합군의 공습은 대성공을 거두었다. 하지만 미군 지휘관들은 이라크와의 지상전에 대한 각오를 단단히 하고 있었다.
When we looked at what we were facing, we were significantly outnumbered.
1990년 9월부터 걸프전 계획을 세우기 시작한 노먼 슈워츠코프 대장은 쿠웨이트를 점령한 이라크군이 약 54만 5천 명 수준이라고 판단했다. 페르시아만 지역으로 투입하게 될 연합군의 병력은 20만 명, 사우디아라비아를 방어할 수 있는 정도에 불과했다.
We had a difficult time with ground operations in that we had limited number of ground forces. As a result, our initial attacks were directly into the face of the enemy in Kuwait. Well, that really didn't make much sense.
베트남전 당시 초급 장교로서 참전했던 슈워츠코프 대장과 휘하 막료들은 베트남전과는 다른 방식을 원했다. 충분한 병력과 화력으로 아군 사상자를 최소화하고 신속하게 승리를 쟁취하는 것이다.
The war in Vietnam was a presence, I guess I would say, at many of the discussions and the debates. They wanted to make certain that this time around that we didn't have the same kind of mistakes, frankly, that were made in Southeast Asia.
슈워츠코프 대장은 당시 부시 행정부에게 성공적인 지상 공격을 위한 추가 병력을 요청했다. 그에 따라 항공모함 세척과 예비군 병력, 그리고 당시 서독에 주둔하고 있던 제7 중기갑 군단을 배속받았다.
We had the complete support of the President of the United States and Secretary of Defense. Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney made sure that we had whatever forces we needed. So when it came time to request the 7th Corps, there was never a doubt it was done.
제7군단이 독일에서 오고 있는 동안 슈워츠코프 대장과 작전 참모들은 사담 후세인이 전혀 예상하지 못한 방향으로 선제 공격을 가한 전략을 구상하기 시작했다.
He planned to launch the Marines on the first day of the war and play into the Iraqi assumption that the Marines were the main attack, to draw down the Republican Guard. And the second day of the war, he would launch this massive armored force, army armored force, through the western desert to come in behind the Iraqis and cut them off.
권투에서 레프트 훅을 치는 것 같은 작전이었다. 두 개의 기갑군단이 사막을 가로질러 진격한다. 해병대의 역할이 이 작전의 성패를 가르는 중요한 요소였다.
We were in support of the army attack in that we were going certainly to hold those Iraqi forces in Kuwait in place. Well, I knew we were going to do a lot more and hold them in place. They were either going to surrender or be killed, and we were going to liberate Kuwait.
레프트 훅 전술을 위해 슈워츠코프 대장은 두 개 군단과 두 개 해병사단, 그리고 수개의 연합군 여단을 사막으로 진격시켰다. 은밀한 움직임이었다. 다행히도 슈워츠코프 대장의 기대대로 사담 후세인은 미군이 도로를 벗어나 인적 없는 사막으로 진격하리라고는 꿈에도 생각하지 못했다.
Remember, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the deserts of Iraq are trackless deserts. Even the maps look like wallpaper. There's no distinctive with the occasional road, and that's it.
You could travel for an hour and look around and think you were in the same spot. One spot looked the same as the other.
하지만 미군은 위성 위치 추적 시스템, 즉 GPS를 갖추고 있어서 정확한 길을 찾아갈 수 있었다. 운전병과 보병들은 이 작은 장비를 통해 위성 시스템과 교신할 수 있었다. GPS를 통해 시시각각으로 정확한 좌표가 확인 가능하다.
I can tell you, if it were not for GPS, I personally would probably still be wandering around the desert in Saudi Arabia and in Kuwait. GPS allowed us to fight a division by not using boundaries as we knew them before, not using physical boundaries, geographical boundaries. We could use north-south grid lines.
While we in the military had not gotten used to using the global positioning system, it turned out to be a revolutionary element in the war.
위성 위치 추적 시스템 덕분에 미군과 연합군은 사막을 가로지르는 대진격 작전을 추진할 수 있었다. 하지만 미군이 병력을 집결하는 동안 사담 후세인도 카프지 지역에 대한 기습 공격을 시작으로 지상전에 대비한 나름대로의 작전을 펼쳤다. 당시에는 아무도 예상치 못했지만 이 카프지 지역 전투야말로 지상전의 분수령이 되었다. 지상전이 공식적으로 시작되기 한 달 전이었던 1월 말, 이라크 탱크들이 사우디와 쿠웨이트 국경 부근에 직결하는 움직임이 미군 정찰기에 포착되었다. 사담 후세인은 야간에 이동해 미군의 정찰을 피할 수 있다고 자신했었다.
Saddam Hussein knew when the American satellites were going over the battle theater. And the Iraqis timed their movements in between the passes of the satellites. When the satellites were overhead, they would stop dead, so they wouldn't be spotted moving. And as soon as the satellite passed over, then they would move again.
하지만 그의 꾀는 조인트 스타즈라는 새로운 정찰기에 의해 무너지고 말았다.
This is a unique aircraft. There was only two of them. They were prototypes. They weren't even production models. And what they do, they have a radar that can look deep into enemy territory, and they see movement. And an enemy that's going to attack you has to form up in large convoys of hundreds of tanks and trucks and armored personnel carriers. These came at us, but the Joint Stars saw them. They can't hide from Joint Stars.
조인트 스타즈는 보잉 707 여객기를 개조해 고성능 레이더와 센서를 장착한 정찰기다. 지휘관들은 이를 통해 전투 지역의 상황을 손바닥 보듯 훤히 파악할 수 있었다.
We sent a B-52 strike in there, and then we sent A-10s in there with infrared missiles. And it was like we'd stirred up a hornet's nest or an ant's nest. These vehicles were scattering all over the place. We knew that many vehicles that close to the border spelled trouble.
대대적인 공습에도 불구하고 이라크군 탱크 일부는 이미 그들의 목적지로 빠져나갔다.
It was a pitch dark night. They came roaring across the border, so to speak, and across into Saudi Arabia.
사담 후세인은 1월 29일 저녁에 공격을 개시했다.
How far are they away from Kafji, huh? Getting real close. I mean, hell, if we can come up on a COF, man, I can shoot these bastards. There you go, right there.
He launched a major corps-size attack with two mechanized infantry divisions and an armored division to attack into Saudi Arabia, to preempt any American attack, to get the Americans moving to counterattack, and of course they'd be counterattacking on his terms, not their own terms.
이라크군은 쿠웨이트의 해안 지역 카프지와 하즈를 비롯한 서쪽 국경선으로 밀고 내려왔다. 여기서 미 해병대와 부딪혔다.
They came down in considerable force and ran into a reconnaissance screen that we had put in front of the Marine forces. This reconnaissance screen was made up of light armored vehicles. These vehicles aren't designed to take on tanks, and we had taught the Marines not to do that, but Marines being Marines, once the battle began, they did take them on.
해병대의 경장갑차 LAV는 돌격용 장갑차였다. 시속 100km의 속도로 사막을 가로질러 최대 660km까지 운행할 수 있다.
The LAV being the real quick, lightly armored vehicle that the Marine Corps uses to hit fast, get out fast.
LAV에는 25mm 체인건이나 토우 대전차 미사일이 장착돼 있었다. LAV가 이라크의 T-55 탱크와 교전할 때 코브라 헬기가 공중에서 지원 사격을 가했다. 코브라 헬기는 베트남전 당시 육군의 주력 공격 헬기로 만들어졌다. 2인승 쌍발 엔진, 근접 지원 공격 헬기로서 시속 330km로 전방을 누빌 수 있었다. 해병대는 이 코브라 헬기에 토우와 헬파이어 등 공대지 미사일을 장착하도록 개조하여 대전차 공격용으로 활용했다.
The Cobra helicopter is designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that's destroy enemy targets.
코브라 헬기 조종사였던 랜디 하몬드 대위는 하즐 지역에 해병대 전방 초소로 돌진하는 4대의 이라크 탱크를 발견했다.
And I put a tow missile into the tank, but we destroyed that tank, and then the rest of the flight came in and we engaged the other 3 tanks.
미 해병대는 하즐에서 이라크군을 꽁꽁 묶어놨다. 하지만 동쪽으로 80km 떨어진 사우디의 카프지는 이라크군 수중에 떨어졌다. 일격을 당한 연합군은 서둘러 재탈환 작전에 나섰다.
tell them they can write off CAFG.
1월 29일 이라크군이 카프지를 침공했지만 마을은 텅 빈 상태였다. 연합군은 공습작전이 개시되던 1월 중순에 주민들을 대피시켰고 소수의 경비 병력만 남겨두었다.
The Saudi Arabian National Guard was there occupying just short of that city. We had Marine reconnaissance forces and forward air controllers and forward observers for artillery there in that small town.
미국은 이라크가 전략적인 요충지도 아닌 카프지를 공격할 거라고는 예상을 못했다.
It sort of caught us a little bit by surprise. We weren't defending the town.
When the Iraqis entered the city of Khafji, that was a problem, particularly the Saudi government, because Saudi territory had been invaded. And the king had told Khalid bin Sultan, not 1 inch of Saudi soil.
Of course, once they came down and occupied Saudi soil, it became very important. And the Saudis weren't going to stand for that.
이라크군이 카프지를 침공했을 때 해병 수색대원 총 12명이 남아 있었다. 이들은 시내 주요 지점에 은신했다.
They had split up. They were in 2 different locations. They immediately moved to the rooftops of 2 of the buildings there. And they were in an ideal position because at that particular point, they could observe the Iraqis. They knew what their disposition were. They knew what the types of forces were.
하지만 이들이 언제 발각될지 모르는 상황이었다. 해병 지휘관은 사우디군 지휘관에게 지원을 요청했다.
And I explained to him the situation. I said, everyone else has left the town. Everyone. All the other forces have departed. But I have 2 Marine recon teams in there. Their safety and their security can probably be guaranteed for maybe 24, 30, but not much longer than that. He said probably what I consider the 2 most important words of the entire war, because he said, we attack.
카프지는 사우디인들이 지키던 지역인데다 미 해병대는 근처에 기갑부대가 없는 상황이기 때문에 사우디군이 앞장서기로 했다. 하지만 문제가 있었다.
The Saudis had never actually fought a major engagement against another force. The Qataris, to the best of my knowledge, had never even deployed from their homeland to participate in a major exercise, much less combat. But they had the tanks, they had the armored personnel carrier that we needed, and we would provide the anti-armor systems. More importantly, we would provide the artillery and the air support.
2 차례 소규모 공격을 한 사우디군은 1월 31일 아침에 카프지 탈환 작전을 개시했다. 6시간의 전투 끝에 이라크군을 사우디 영토에서 몰아냈다. 미군의 공습으로 카프지에 도착하기 전에 이미 많은 탱크를 잃었던 이라크군은 결국 점령 36시간 만에 퇴각하고 말았다.
That attack was never successful because it was destroyed in Kuwait. It was destroyed by air power. As a result, the few tanks that did get into Khafji were repulsed by a Saudi brigade and a Qatari tank company and 2 companies of Saudi National Guard forces.
하지만 미군도 카프지 전투에서 지상전 최초의 전사자들을 내는 피해를 입었다. 해병대원 11명이 아군의 5인 사격으로 전사했다. 전투의 와중에 경기갑차 한 대가 다른 경기갑차를 향해 토우 미사일을 잘못 발사했다. A-10에서 발사한 매브릭 미사일이 오작동을 일으켜 미군 장갑차에 맞기도 했다. 2주 뒤 한 아파치 헬기 조종사가 목표물의 좌표를 잘못 읽었다. 그는 적진에 있는 적군 차량 2대를 발견했다고 믿었다.
I hope it's enemy.
That's all right. Just stay on.
Here it comes.
That's 1.
I guess you could say that hit it.
All right. Let's pick up the second one. Let's go. This bud's for you.
Uh-oh.
그런데 그 차량들은 미군의 브래들리 전차였다.
Reporting that maybe friendly vehicles may have been hit over. Roger. I was afraid of that. I was really afraid of that.
Ceasefire. Ceasefire.
Ceasefire.
None of us have killed anybody before. And when they were Iraqis, that was okay. But 5 seconds after the second vehicle blew up and the call came in, friendly vehicles are hit, it was horror.
2명의 미군 병사, 제프리 미들턴 상병과 로버트 텔리 일병이 전사했다. 걸프전 동안에 발생한 미군 전사자의 25%에 해당하는 35명이 아군 오인 사격으로 전사했다. 부상자의 15%도 아군 오인 사격 때문이었다. 아군 오인 사격이 새로 생긴 문제는 아니었다. 하지만 적군에 의한 사상자 수가 극히 적었던 걸프전 상황으로 볼 때 심각한 문제가 아닐 수 없었다. 사막 지형으로 인한 착각, 여러 부대가 뒤섞인 혼성 편제, 그리고 야간 전투라는 요인 때문에 오인 사격의 위험이 높아졌다. 더구나 걸프전에서 사용된 신형 무기 역시 오인 사격에 일조했다. 많은 조종사들이 열을 방출하는 물체를 표적으로 삼는 열 추적 미사일이나 열 영상 장치를 이용했다.
The heat source of an enemy tank may look very much like the heat source of a friendly tank or a light armored vehicle or BTR-60 from the air.
다른 조종사나 포수들은 야간 투시경을 사용하기도 했다. 하지만 그 녹색 화면 속에서 적과 아군을 구분하기가 쉽지 않았다.
We could fight well at night where our adversaries often cannot. It's the perfect opportunity to use darkness to help you. But that darkness can also lead to more confusion about where you are and identifying targets.
그렇다고 실수할 여유도 없었다.
The battlefield is a very, very confused place. It is just, no matter how well you prepare, how well you train, it's chaos. And so in the middle of this chaos, you introduce a weapon that doesn't miss.
Modern weapons have become so lethal that every incident of friendly fire is a highly lethal incident.
카프지 전투 이후 연합군은 이라크군의 전력을 재평가하게 되었다.
Khafji told us a lot about the Iraqis because we watched the attack unfold. It told us that they didn't shoot, move, and communicate very well, and you need to be able to do all three of those things together. And we watched them struggle with that.
슈워츠코프 대장은 공식적으로는 카프지 전투에 큰 의미를 두지 않았다.
In my judgment, from a military standpoint, it's absolutely meaningless. It's really it's no more than the irritation of a small mosquito as far as this entire campaign is concerned.
하지만 실제로는 중요한 의미가 있었다.
The significance of Khafji for Saddam was in the planning. It was his effort to change the course of the war, to break down our strategy and implement his strategy. Of course, when it failed, it sealed his doom. It showed that they could not defeat us on the ground, that we would not waver from our strategy of destroying his army from the air before we began ground operations, and it showed that he needed to figure out another strategy, which he never did.
이라크군의 약점을 파악한 미 해병대는 쿠웨이트 수복을 위한 작전 준비에 들어갔다.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it right. We're going to achieve victory.
카프지 전투 이후 미 해병대는 쿠웨이트 해안 상륙 작전을 재검토하기 시작했다. 이라크군도 이미 예상하고 있었기 때문이다.
They had deployed their occupation army so that it was facing the Gulf because they had assumed that the American Marines were going to land over the beaches the way they do in John Wayne movies.
하지만 슈워츠코프 대장은 상륙 작전이 너무 위험하고 준비하는 데 시간이 많이 걸린다고 생각했다. 카프지 전투가 끝난 지 이틀 뒤인 2월 2일, 그는 지휘관 회의를 소집했다.
Schwarzkopf looked at me at that point in time and said, Walt, can you accomplish your mission without the amphibious assault? And it was a long moment, but I said, yes, I can, if we cause them to continue to believe that we are going to conduct the amphibious assault, because they've got a couple of divisions here along the shore that if they are able to free them and turn them against our flank as we attack into Kuwait, then I've got a big problem.
따라서 연막 작전의 일환으로 해병대는 모의 상륙 작전을 실시했다.
And the Iraqis bought it. They bought it wholeheartedly. They posted 6 divisions along the coastline and dug in more thoroughly along the coast than they did along the Saudi-Kuwait border.
사우디에서 쿠웨이트로 진격 작전을 준비하고 있던 미 해병대는 이라크군이 화학무기를 사용할 가능성에 대해 우려하고 있었다.
Saddam Hussein had used gas against the Iranians in a very devastating, killer-like way.
이라크군의 화력도 만만치 않은 위협이었다. 이라크군은 미 해병이 보유한 것보다 사정거리가 훨씬 긴 대포로 무장하고 있었다.
The artillery was what scared us, the Marines, in the 1st Marine Division. We knew we were outnumbered, unbelievably outnumbered as far as artillery.
이라크군의 포 공격을 견제하기 위해 미 해병들은 지상 레이더와 공중 지원을 결합시킨 통합 발사 시스템을 사용했다.
We wanted actually to get into the mind of the artilleryman that when he got on that gun, he was susceptible to being attacked by artillery and by air. So we did a sophisticated system of rage using radars.
또한 사우디와 쿠웨이트 국경선을 따라 사담 후세인이 구축해놓은 지뢰밭, 일명 사담의 지뢰 장벽을 돌파해야만 했다.
The Marine Corps had what looked on paper like the most difficult and deadly assignment.
We were told that 1 in 4 would be killed or wounded crossing the minefield and the line of death, as it was called.
지뢰밭의 위험 정도를 보다 정확히 파악하기 위해 해병들은 정찰조를 미리 침투시켰다.
Before everyone knew of G-Day, our Marine reconnaissance force went in, small teams of 6 or 7 men, and actually got into the minefields and assessed what was in those minefields.
지상군 투입 일자가 다가오면서 3,000명 이상의 해병대원들이 적진으로 침투했다.
We literally did it on our hands and knees. Young Marines did it with bayonets in their hands, sticking the blade into the sand, and if it chinked on metal, you knew it was a mine, and you kind of stepped to the right or the left, and you just kept crawling.
정찰조에서 알아낸 지뢰의 위치는 지상작전 투입을 대기하고 있는 나머지 해병대원들에게 귀중한 정보가 되었다. 이제 작전 개시만 남았다.
I have therefore directed General Norman Schwarzkopf, in conjunction with coalition forces, to use all forces available, including ground forces, to eject the Iraqi army from Kuwait.
총 4만 명 규모의 해병 제1사단과 2사단이 쿠웨이트 남부를 향해 돌격하기 시작했다. 그 왼쪽은 육군 제2기갑사단 1여단, 일명 타이거 여단이 맞고, 오른쪽은 쿠웨이트, 사우디, 이집트, 카타르 등의 아랍국 연합군이 맡았다. 2월 24일 새벽, 드디어 총공세가 시작되었다.
G-Day was a dark and gloomy morning as it started to get light. The smoke from the oil fires was very heavy.
Hussein had ordered all of the Kuwaiti oil fields blown up. These are extremely high pressure wells, so you had this huge, huge fire burning, a dark black smoke. You could walk into the smoke and think you were in the dead of night, but yet it was still the middle of the day.
다행히도 그날 아침에 바람이 불어 연기를 흩어놓았다. 사담의 지뢰 장벽을 돌파하기 위해 해병들은 M60 탱크 앞에 지뢰 제거용 쟁기를 장착해서 지뢰를 제거했다.
You take a regular tank and you put a big, huge plow in front of it with huge metal teeth this big so that the mine really won't destroy it, and it plows through the sand and plows these things and pushes them aside, literally plows a furrow through the minefield.
해병대는 라인 차지도 사용했다. 탱크 뒤에서 로켓으로 쏘아 올리는 선인데 이 선에 수백 개의 소형 플라스틱 폭탄이 연결돼 있어서 매설된 지뢰를 폭파시키는 역할을 한다. 라인 차지 한 개가 약 100m까지 길을 뚫는다. 이와 같은 특수 장비와 사전에 침투한 정찰조의 정보 덕분에 해병들은 지뢰 장벽의 1차 관문을 돌파했다.
It was done very quickly because we hit at the points where they were the weakest.
하지만 1차 지뢰밭은 시작에 불과했다.
We knew that once we penetrated that first barrier, that the momentum of the attack had absolutely had to remain as intense as we could make it and move as fast as we could to move up to the second barrier and then penetrate the second barrier. We could not allow ourselves, in other words, to pause, because the Iraqi counterattack could have been devastating if we were caught between two major barriers of that type.
해병대가 진격하는 동안 해병대 항공단에서는 공중 지원을 했다. 수직 이착륙이 가능해서 점프 제트라는 별명을 가진 해리어기에는 25mm 기관포와 4톤의 폭탄이 탑재돼 있다. 또한 단좌식 항공모함 탑재기인 FA-18 호네트 점퍼기도 출동했다. 호네트는 해병대의 주력 공격기였다. 이들 항공기들이 해병대 지상군을 엄호했다.
We used counterfire in a very unique way on that battlefield. Not only did we do counterfire with artillery against artillery, we used counterfire with our F-18s and our Harriers. We had a forward air controller with the artillery radars, which could give 10-digit grid points of where the enemy artillery was shooting from. That forward air controller would pass that information to the F-18s, who would immediately put it into their guidance system and attack the Iraqi artillery.
이와 같은 화력 지원에 힘입어 해병들은 지상 첫날에 지뢰밭을 돌파했다. 하지만 다른 난관들이 남아 있었다. 지상 첫날, 미 해병대에게 가장 큰 문제는 계속 투항하는 이라크 병사들을 어떻게 수용하느냐였다.
We'd made some preparation. We'd actually stockpiled food. We had indicated places for POW compounds, sort of the normal kind of thing that you would do. But we didn't expect them to surrender in such huge numbers.
첫날에만 수천 명이 투항하면서 물자 보급이 부족해졌다.
Enemy prisoners of war have a tendency to really hold you down, to cause you to collect them, to process them, to get them back to safety, to get them out of the battle, and so on. And it takes a lot of time to do that.
하지만 끝까지 저항하는 소규모의 이라크 병력들이 더 위험했다.
My estimate has been that probably 75% of them surrendered, 25% decided to fight.
이들을 분간하는 일이 쉽지 않았다.
If you put yourself in the shoes of the young Marine who has been taught that these that are surrendering, he's not supposed to kill them. But at the same time, he's got over here people shooting at him that he's got to deal with.
And it was very difficult to ascertain which was surrendering and which wasn't. Oftentimes, as they were apparently engaged in discussions on what they should do, and they would hear us, they would all start running to the trench lines, and then we'd begin to receive fire as a result of it.
포로 문제로 시간을 끌면서도 해병들은 첫날에 무려 50km를 진격했다. 그날 저녁에는 알 북한 유전지대에서 수경했다.
When the Marines and the Eastern Area Corps moved through those minefields, through those barbed wire, through those fire trenches, past those abandoned artillery sites, then that was a huge relief, because then we knew the rest of the attacks, which would be delayed a little bit, would go much smoother.
이틀째 되자 해병대의 진격은 더 어렵고 위험해졌다. 불타는 유전에서 나오는 연기가 시야를 가렸다. 안개와 연기 속에서 이라크군의 반격을 경계해야만 했다.
We had from what I will call a A1 source intelligence that 2 brigades of the 5th Mechanized Corps was preparing to attack from our flank. And they said that the Iraqi prisoner says they're going to come out of the fires. We didn't believe anyone could live in the middle of those fires. 600 raging oil well fires.
해병대는 기습을 노리는 이라크군이 숨어 있다고 추정되는 곳을 향해 M198 곡사포와 M110 자주포로 집중 공격했다.
As we did that, it was like rabbits coming out of the briar patch.
You could kind of see the sand coming to life as you saw all these tanks and armored vehicles, in essence, from horizon to horizon, coming towards the elements of Task Force Papa Bear.
해병대의 M60 전차가 전방에 나서 이라크의 T-55와 T-72 탱크를 상대했다. M60은 30년 전에 개발된 탱크인데 57톤 무게에 4명이 탑승하는 전차였다. 그래도 새로 장갑을 한 M60은 적의 포탄에 끄떡없이 버텼다. 하지만 전방 항공 통제관 초소에는 경장갑차밖에 없었다. 경장갑차는 탱크와 정면 대결을 하기에는 역부족이었다. 부족한 화력은 대개 공중 지원에 의존하곤 했다. 하지만 유전 화재 연기 때문에 대부분의 전투기가 비행할 수 없는 상황이었다.
The F-18s could not penetrate the smoke, could not get low enough to be able to acquire these targets. So it was not a very friendly environment for fixed-wing aircraft, jet aircraft to be operating in.
대신에 코브라 헬기 편대가 투입되었다. 코브라 헬기는 다양한 무기를 탑재하고 있었는데 그 중에서도 레이저 유도탄들을 단 헬파이어 미사일은 8km 밖의 탱크도 파괴할 수 있었다.
The Cobras with the Hellfire missiles were probably the most effective killer of the Iraqi armored forces.
하지만 코브라 헬기도 지원이 필요했다. 신형인 아파치 헬기와 달리 코브라 헬기에는 레이저 추적이나 열 영상 추적 성능이 없었다.
We couldn't see the T-72 tanks because of the poor visibility, but the FLIR on the OV-10 had the capability to see through the smoke.
프로펠러식 정찰기인 해병대의 OV-10 브롱코는 적 전차에서 발산되는 열을 적외선 감지 장치로 찾아낼 수 있었다. OV-10 조종사가 목표물을 레이저로 유도하면 코브라 헬기에서 헬파이어 미사일을 발사했다.
The OV-10 was identifying targets for us. We launched probably 6 Hellfire missiles. I didn't find out until literally years later that each one of those missiles actually found a target.
코브라 헬기 편대는 제1사단 지휘본부 근처에 있는 경장갑차를 지원하기 위해 계속 공격했다.
As these armored vehicles and tanks again came charging out of the fog towards our friendly troops, we got the cleared hot call from the folks on the ground to go out there and do what we needed to do to engage these targets. And again, we went out there with our Hellfire missiles, which will take a tank down to the treads in about 2 seconds.
해병대 지휘본부를 향해 접근한 이라크 탱크는 많은 피해를 입혔지만 해병대는 이들을 물리쳤다.
Using mortars and artillery and anti-tank weapons, we were able to defeat that counterattack. But it was a huge counterattack across the flank of the 1st Marine Division. And I think the largest tank battle the Marine Corps has been in history was fought by the 1st Marine Regiment.
지상전 이틀째가 끝날 무렵 해병대는 쿠웨이트 수복을 바로 눈앞에 두고 있었다. 지상전 개시 사흘째인 2월 26일 오후 미 해병대는 수도인 쿠웨이트 탈환을 목전에 두었다.
The 1st Marine Division had taken Kuwait International Airport. 2nd Marine Division was just really poised sort of below Kuwait City to the west.
해병대는 27일에 일찌감치 수도인 쿠웨이트로 진입할 수 있었지만 아랍연합군에게 그 기회를 주기로 했다.
The Americans had been very careful to make sure that Arab forces technically went in and captured the city so that it would not look like the Western Allies were overrunning the city, that in fact Arabs were being freed by Arabs. It was a very careful political decision.
아랍연합군 사단이 그날 아침 쿠웨이트시에 진입했을 때 이라크군은 이미 떠나고 없었다. 이날 오후 월터 부모 장군이 이끄는 소규모 선발대가 쿠웨이트에 입성했다.
We were the first Americans into the city with the exception of some reconnaissance Marines that had been in.
엄밀히 따지면 부모 장군이 서구인 가운데 최초가 아니었다. 미국 방송국 기자들이 이미 들어가 있었다. 기자들은 군 당국의 엄격한 보도 통제에 불만을 느끼고 있었다. 군 당국의 취재 허가를 받기 전에는 어떤 기자나 카메라맨도 전투부대에 가까이 갈 수 없었다. 기자들은 중군 기자단에 소속되어 부대와 함께 나갈 수 있기만을 기다려야 했다.
The pull system really came from the overwhelming numbers of reporters who wanted to cover the war. For the Normandy invasion, World War II, there were 27. On any given day in Vietnam, there were about 40 reporters out in the field, and a max in Vietnam at any one time, about 300 reporters. We had 1,095 reporters.
기자들이 너무 많다는 것뿐만 아니라 종군 경험이 부족하다는 것도 문제였다.
One of the major problems I encountered in working with the media is that when a war occurs, everybody shows up. And so you have the reporter who writes obituaries for the Cleveland Daily Press.
I don't think news organizations would send a reporter to the Super Bowl who didn't understand football. But they sent many reporters who had no idea about the military.
기자들도 종군 기자단 제도에 불만을 느꼈다.
Everybody was chafing under these pool regulations that no reporter can go anywhere unless he's accompanied by a military officer, and you have to go to the unit that you've been assigned to.
게다가 군 당국은 기자들이 소속 신문사나 방송사로 기사를 보내기 위한 취재 활동을 지원하는데 소극적이었다.
Here you had the high-tech war. High-tech bombs, missiles. I mean, we saw the videotaped evidence of it every day in those briefings by General Schwarzkopf and others. Yet they drove the videotape back from the front 200 miles to Tehran. They didn't fly it. They didn't send it by satellite. They drove it.
그러자 일부 방송사에서는 군 당국의 협조 없이 자체적으로 지상전을 취재할 준비를 하기 시작했다.
We sent David Green and Bob McEwen out just hoping that we would get some decent pictures of actual combat occurring. We didn't realize that they would lead the assault into Kuwait.
2월 26일 오후 쿠웨이트로 들어간 CBS 기자들은 다란에 있는 취재본부로 상황을 보고했다.
I remember being in the newsroom and hearing a two-way radio go off. And it was David Green saying, "I'm in Kuwait City." And I thought it was some kind of a mistake.
We have Bob McEwen live up from, we believe, inside Kuwait City. Bob, are you there?
Dan, I'm here, and I think from this day forward, history will record that Independence Day here in Kuwait, certainly here in Kuwait City, will be February the 26th, 1991.
And a crowd of people that just came around us and wanted to tell us their stories. And we went on the air surrounded by these people, reporting to Dan Rather that, in fact, the Iraqis were leaving and that Kuwait was a free city again.
군 당국은 한 방송사가 종군 기자단 체제를 흔들어 놓은 데 대해 불만이었지만 장점도 있었다.
At one point, when we were on the air in Kuwait City, we went down for several minutes, and I am told that there were calls from the State Department and from the Pentagon to CBS saying, "Could you put those guys back up again, please?" Because they were learning what was happening from us.
쿠웨이트 시가 주민들 손에 넘어간 것은 해병대가 임무를 완수했다는 뜻이 되었다. 수개월 동안 준비했던 쿠웨이트 수복 작전은 4일도 안 돼서 완수되었다. 해병대의 빠른 작전 완수는 사령부에서도 놀랄 정도였다.
We did move faster, I think, than General Schwarzkopf thought that we were going to be able to. I wasn't sure how fast we were going to be able to move, but I knew it was going to be pretty quick. I mean, it's a small country.
해병대의 신속한 진격은 사전에 이라크군에 대한 철저한 준비와 작전 계획을 세웠던 덕분이었다.
I felt that our plans and our preparation was good enough so that we would move very quickly. We would retake Kuwait very quickly with casualties perhaps in the hundreds, but we were able to do it in 3 days with hardly any casualties.
신속한 진격이 가능했던 또 하나의 이유는 사전 첩보와는 달리 이라크 병력이 그렇게 많지 않았던 점도 있다.
They had not 540,000 troops, but more on the order of 200,000 troops, because many of them had gone AWOL in the period leading up to the ground war.
쿠웨이트에 남아있던 적군도 작전에 손발이 안 맞으면서 예상외로 효율적인 반격을 하지 못했다.
They did use artillery, but they used artillery early and sporadically. But then they would attack with their armored vehicles without using the artillery. Their air defenses had already been taken down, so they were vulnerable with their armor moving across the desert floor to our Cobras, And without the artillery, then our ground systems, the light armored vehicle, the TOWs, and our tanks were very effective.
해병대의 임무 완수는 무엇보다도 5주간에 걸친 공중 폭격이 주요했던 덕분이다.
The air war took its toll on the Iraqi soldier. I mean, it was devastating. And that air campaign made our job a lot easier.
They were a broken, beaten army by the time the first ground troops moved against them. And that was largely because of the tremendous air power America put into the skies.
2월 27일 쿠웨이트에 입성한 미 해병대에겐 사실상 걸프전이 막을 내린 셈이었다. 승리의 환호가 넘쳐났다.
We were all very battle weary and very tired, but it just lifted our spirits because the Kuwaiti people were in such jubilation, such celebration. I can remember Kuwaiti families coming up when they could get to us and holding up their babies for us to touch their baby. I can remember them saying, "Thank God, George Bush, thank God, Marines."
As you began to listen what they were saying, I mean, literally thousands of people now as we drove along, it was, God bless you, America. Thank you. We love you. So for us, that was a pretty emotional time.
사우디 사막에서 6개월 동안 고된 훈련을 하며 고생해왔던 미 해병대는 노고의 결실을 맺었다. 쿠웨이트가 다시 해방되고 임무가 완수되었다. 하지만 전쟁이 끝난 건 아니었다. 사담 후세인은 최정예 부대인 공화국 수비대만큼은 미군의 공습으로부터 숨겨두고 있었다. 이라크 공화국 수비대를 섬멸하는 임무는 육군 기갑사단들의 몫이 되었다.